Well, you ready to knock into this thing?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Drew Beskin, how have you been, bro? It's good to see you.
I've been great. Just running around. How have you been? It's great to see you.
I've been fantastic. It's been too long, man. We had one episode that got thrown out due to like just scheduling. You know, it got out of sorts, and my audio end wasn't very good on it. So I'm glad we could finally get you back and get your redemption run here.
Hell yeah, man. Well, it's always great to be back.
It is.
And yeah, I guess this would be the third one with just you and me, technically,
Yes.
and then we did that Lost Broasis Coldplayers session because we had to move the show.
Exactly, yeah. And then it was weird because it was like we could hold on to it, but I was like, I don't want to have 90 episodes that are in order and then one that's just
That's
out.
right.
You know what I mean?
That's
but
right.
We're making up for it here.
That's right.
You're probably coming up there on probably the most guests I've had, the most frequent. I think 4 might be a record, brother.
I love it.
Love it, man. Well, how's things been with you and the family? How's the kiddo doing?
Good.
Got a fresh kid? How old is she now?
Fresh kid. Lila is almost 7 months.
Awesome,
which is crazy.
That's keeping you busy?
Been keeping very busy. Been learning to do everything with one arm.
Cradling something in the other.
That's right.
I love that, man. Well, that's awesome. I'm glad to hear it. How is everything going with your music, man? Get me started.
It's going great. We release a new record next week that I made with Tommy Troutwine and Elijah Johnston and Gideon Johnston.
Absolute legends.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I think they're very key to your sound. I'm sure you would agree.
Absolutely. Yeah. I've made records with a lot of people in this town over the years, and Tommy and Elijah were friends from back in the Georgia Theater days, and just being fans of their shows and like going to each other's shows. And Tommy, Tommy is an amazing engineer, and I've been friends with him for years, and just seeing him grow from already being extremely talented to being like one of the go-to guys in town.
Big guy.
Right. But I would always send him, songs to get his advice and vice versa. And eventually, I think in, November of 2020, I had a song, and I just kind of texted Tommy and was like, can we do this thing? Can we finally record? And we got Elijah, and then Elijah brought Gideon, who I think at the time was 17, and I'd seen him play with Elijah as being brothers in a band, and knowing how talented he was. But that was our first kind of hang, and we recorded one song that day, and it was great.
Which song was it?
It's called Not If But When. It's the first track off the new album.
Okay.
It has, and the way after that enjoyable session, I wrote another song, and we came and did that song again, and we just manned the studio, did another song in that day, and that was Spoilers, which was
awesome.
One of the singles we released.
It's one of my favorites.
Thank you.
When you sent me the SoundCloud link way back, it was probably 6 months ago, the one that I remember thinking about was like, Spoilers is a really good song.
And that, I went into the studio with him. It was way slower. It was more like I thought we were just going to record it like a Beatles, Harry Nilsson, just like piano with like, maybe it was just going to be piano and maybe some like synth or something. But then, with our heads together, we Gideon came up with this insane drum beat, and it took it to the place that it needed to be. And, then after that, we did another song, and that was a song called All Along Your Way that was released as a single as well. And by the time we did that, we were like, okay, well, 3 days in a row, we've consecutively left the session being happy and completed with the song. So it seems like we should just make a full record.
Yeah, pretty rare.
And we kept doing it like that. And the songs were written before going to the studio. Like, this is the first time I went into the studio, like one song at a time. Like, this song was written, let's go record it. Let's not think too much about it. Let's record it. So like, and when you hear the record, there's 11 tracks, and that's in the order that the songs were written and the days that they're recorded.
Okay, that's
so
cool.
Like our 11th day in the studio spread out over months, but our 11th day was the final track on the record.
Wow, that's a really cool way to do that. I think, how has that process changed though? Because this would be your second solo LP, correct? Maybe your fourth total
this
LP?
This will be as with my name on it, this will be my fourth record, but the first record that's like And the Sunshine with a different band. And then I had about 3 other bands before that I was the songwriter for and front person for around Athens.
How do you think the process has changed from, say, your first solo record to this one, which I guess your second in theory or fourth, whichever way you look at it?
Yeah, my first solo record was with David Barbie at
legend.
Chase Park, who's also a legend and
love him.
Someone who I respect, and was just so excited to get to work with him. And the result was great. And I had one of my favorite artists, J.P. Pitts from Surfer Blood. He's the frontman for Surfer Blood, and he mixes all his records. And I just kind of reached out to him after knowing him from South by Southwest days and my old band days and days at Georgia Theater, just saying, hey, would you mix this for me? He's like, sure. And so, that plus David was amazing. But to answer your question, I've always blocked out time in the studio, got my guys together, and then we go and here are the songs that I are already written. Here's the 10 or 11 songs. We have first 2 days, bass and drums.
Yes.
Get that out of the way so we don't have to worry about it.
Okay.
And then, which is great if you're trying to manage your time, but the reason why it was so much, and that's how I'd always done it, because you're booking this time in the studio and you want to get it done in this time frame because you're trying to get everyone together and everyone's scheduled.
That kind
expensive.
Of stuff.
You want to set a budget on it. So you have to be more. You have to maybe sacrifice being an artist and letting things happen in the moment, so you can be like checklists, like drums, bass. Okay, moving on. Let's not forget. And then it becomes like this factory thing, and because of that, I never thought of it that way, and it was always fun. And however, I love the records I made with Barbie and Vandenberg and Matt, and
being in the studio is being in the studio.
I love being in the studio, but this was the first time. And also just the writing, like I don't want to waste my time. I've heard stories of the Queens of the Stone Age, like when they made Era Vulgaris, they just crafted that in the studio, just living in the studio. And I was like, man, that must be nice to go into a studio cold and just like fuck around and see if you can't come up. And if not, like you've watched that Beatles documentary.
Oh, I've watched it.
They're right. they're there for 12 days working on a song because, or they go like, oh, we don't feel like doing anything that's going on. It's like, that'd be amazing.
Yes, that'd be great. But for us, it's like, damn, we just lost $600, you know what I mean? Or $800.
So the Tommy thing was, and Tommy, he was doing, the way he was charging, was charging per song.
Okay, that's
so
good.
Like, and which is great. Like, luckily, I wasn't too much of a diva about anything. Yeah. But if he's saying that, and I think he's changed it since then, but like that means it could be like 20 different like revisions like from the artist. Like, I'm not happy with this, and like so. Yeah. But either way, it was really just the way we did it, and also, we went in with one song. We started the day off. You can focus on that song all day. You're not thinking about tracking other stuff, and you just leave with it. And the song itself, kind of, I feel like it made me step up as a writer because I don't want to go into a room for an entire day and put all this energy into something that maybe I don't think is that great. Yeah,
like you had to show up with songs in a way, right? And how far out in advance were these written? Like, you meaning that they were written the night before, kind of, pretty much?
I think I wrote Not If But When I had COVID. So it was just in there, and I just kind of sent it to Tommy. It's like, let's get everyone together. And then, because that was the first time we did it. And then Spoilers, it's like, okay, I wrote this song.
Yeah.
But fairly quickly sent Tommy them and was like, let's get everyone to do it. And then we're like, okay, well, let's do this again. I'm starting kind of looking at my kind of list of ideas and song titles and like starting to like maybe formulate, like, oh, I might grab this song now because.
Gotcha. Stuff in the vault, kind of.
Right. And once we were halfway through the record and realized that the way we wanted the record to be was in the order of the tunes, because Not If But When you hear it is a very, it's a very chill song.
Okay.
And maybe not. And then if you've heard Spoilers, it's a little more like crazy. So
still got that lighthearted thing going on there.
Yeah, absolutely.
To me, at least.
Absolutely.
You kind of always have that lighthearted thing.
Easy breezy type thing.
Which I like. It's like not funny per se, but it's got that like irony to it or something. I don't know. I think all your
little wink and a nod to some pop stuff.
Yeah.
And then I try to be dark with the lyrics. Or
like what's the B-side to Lisa Simpson Fangs?
Horror Movie Plot.
That one's a little darker, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I like that one too, though.
Absolutely. That song, I remember there's a the intro. It's like an acoustic, very slow acoustic piece, and I had come up with that intro a long time ago. I remember when Matt Martin and Taylor Cotton were working on some Hefner track. I'm sorry, some Wonderwall tracks
way back
for that album Sleep Tight, Social Light. I remember I was like, hey guys, I have this riff if you want to use it. It was like a fast rock version of the Horror Movie Plot riff, and they were like, that's nice. And then they didn't use it, and then I never showed them anything ever again. I just kind of sat there and ate candy. But I always liked that riff, and while we were going through the process of making the record, I was just kind of seeing what I have, or like again, like the whole process with Tommy getting Elijah, it felt like just like a vacation of just like going in there and just like, and all three of them super invested in the song and super interested, and like everyone's producing, everyone's playing and singing.
Because they're not even like hired guns per se. It's like they would just really want to make that record with you if I had to guess. You know what I mean?
Yes, especially given the 2020. Now, if it was 2022 and it happened, because those are some busy boys now.
Yeah, they are. They're good for them. You know?
You're right, good for them. I got grandfathered in, so good for me.
I think that's awesome when you can. I mean, all the stuff you talk about, stuff I've been thinking about lately is like we have done exactly what you just said, which is get the minimum amount of studio time and do as many fucking songs as you can in one day. That's like realistic, you know. And like if you get it, you get it. You know, there's no experimentation in the studio on my end yet, you know?
Yeah, I never want to do it other than like the studio, we're going in to do a song. And, and if you happen to crush it, then maybe have another song ready in the chamber. Yes. But you're serving that song and you don't leave until that one's done. And then like maybe you might go back after mixing if you had to maybe tighten up some stuff. But to devote, if you can like really, if you're devoting one song and you're present in that moment, then you allow for some magic to happen with whatever some sort of changes, or you're just very present, and that's to me the closest to feeling like an artist, where you can just kind of one song at a time focus on it and let it kind of breathe.
I think there's something to be said for that, man. Very well put. I think like just being focused on anything, when you've got one thing that you've got to do and like you don't have to do everything else, there's just something to be said about that, I think. So very well put.
And it's very hard to do it, you know, with musicians, especially, you know, in this town, like everyone's doing and playing and making great things, but it's not everyone's like main job.
Exactly.
Except for if you want to do well at it, you need to treat it like your main job.
You pretty much do, right? It'd be hard to like be too distracted on it. Like you can only chase it so far if you're working.
Right.
You know,
and I'm obviously at the point in my life where I like to play a few shows a year, and I love, but the most focus I'm probably going to put on is just anything I can do in Athens and Atlanta, or just recording.
I kind of think of you as a studio guy in that way, as a songwriter in that way. Like if I had to guess, you're one of those people that like, you're always writing a song even when you're out of the industry, right?
Absolutely.
There's always something working, a record or something in the back of your head, or even a song, you know, right?
I mean, I always like look at my notepad and kind of whittling down from what were 19 ideas to 10 ideas. And with this record, it started to be like, you know, we were on the 5th song, but I was starting to narrow down what, you know, the entire 11 songs would be. And then as we started getting closer to it, I was like, well, I know track 10, I know it's bass line and it's chorus, but I haven't written the song, but I have a general idea that it's going to be a great second to last song, so I won't finish that one until that day. And then there were 2 songs on the record that just started straight up as titles, and I texted the guys saying, hey, I have these 3 hours where I'm just going to make myself write a song, so do you want me to do a song called Furrowed Brow or a song called or Pear Plum Blues? And then they would just pick it and go, okay, so that's the direction I'll go. Like,
that's
might
cool.
have had like and just like play games with myself.
To
make it.
And that was successful for you. That's how you wrote one or two of those tracks.
Absolutely. I mean, of course, if they said the opposite, then it'd be completely different, and the world would be upside down.
It would.
But I do know in that moment, the way I wrote would have been completely different than doing another day. And to me, the songs feel very completed. I'm very satisfied with them. So, you know, playing that game and having it come out like, I can't believe I got away with that. Just having fun.
Yeah, because all the singles have been consecutive sounding. You know what I mean? Like it all seems like the same general vibe. Was there any like vibe conversation?
Oh, for sure. Like as we started, as we kept going, like, okay, so we know. I don't know why, but I was feeling very like, you know, the whimsical thing. Like on every track on the record, because the first 3 there's moments where I'm just going like, la la la, or just like just show tuney, just like non-lyrical, some sort of like
hook kind of thing.
Yeah, just
melody.
like singing along, not part of the song, just kind of humming along to the song, like this easy breezy, like sunshine feel. Because during that time, you know, COVID and everything, there was a lot of walking around.
There was getting some outdoors.
A lot of walking around and listening to music or thinking about music and just like writing a lot of, you know, just taking that vibe in. I'm prior to COVID. And I'm not saying I'm that much different now, but I was definitely more of an indoor cat.
Okay.
Pre-COVID.
Yeah.
But then
it changed things.
Yeah. You know, I definitely enjoy my walks now, being outside, which
they're therapeutic, man.
Yes,
there's something
absolutely.
to be said about a good walk as well.
Absolutely. So that was just kind of the vibe I wanted to emulate, and honestly, the personality of the guys I was working with, it was like very, very
easy
positive
going.
vibes, easygoing, and passionate.
Yeah, that makes total sense, and I guess you can kind of hear that sort of stuff in the record, like I mentioned earlier. Like none of it's like Debbie Downer, if that makes sense. Like you've always got that like lighthearted like bounce thing to it. I don't know, it's great. I love listening to it.
And we were talking about the Beatles a lot, and we were trying to find as many noises as we could put in there, and just find like weird percussion stuff. And like we spent a lot of time on the percussion stuff, and the
drums sound great. I love the drum sound, dude.
I've been fortunate to play with a lot of great drummers and record with a lot of great drummers, but the Gideon thing, like the drums sound great, not only because Gideon is practicing and learning from Tommy, and Tommy's obviously a great engineer, but the way we basically wrote these, like I might have come with the song written musically and lyrically, but everyone like Paraplum Blues was a more of acoustic like downer thing, and then we rocked it out, and because
it rocks now.
Made sense for the four of us, so everyone just kind of putting their input in. Like it was definitely a true like everyone's like really producing and everyone's putting their own touch on it. And we kept talking about the Beatles. We kept talking about those early Beatles
influences.
Records. Yeah, and like doing a lot of like whispering on top of vocals.
I heard some whispers in there.
Or just like Elijah maybe like jumping in and out to double track, like to double my vocal, and it's very subtle, like if you listen to it, but like it just kind of fills the room,
giving some space.
And it's
I'd wondered how much on the drum sound. That was like one of the things I wrote down to ask you about. I know it's a little nerdy and all, but I was like, how much of the drum sound is Gideon and how much of it is Tommy, or is it both? It's probably both.
It's got to be both.
Got to be both,
because Gideon, I'm not a drummer. I love the drums, and I do have too. Like it wasn't an argument because Gideon and I didn't know each other that well then, so I didn't want to be like, don't fucking do that. But he was doing a lot of like ghost notes in his snare hits.
Okay.
And I don't really have any general rule, but for some reason these songs he like when we were starting something, I was like, I love what you're doing. Don't do any ghost notes.
Gotcha.
Just like straight hit. And he's like, okay. And then you tell he wanted to do the ghost note, but he didn't. And it worked. And then the next song just happens to be he's trying to ghost note. I was like, I'm sorry, no ghost notes. But so he's really good at like, we were just like shaping the song, and like he's got a great memory. Because what you need, especially if the song's changing a bunch and like you're trying to catch his feelings, like, oh, don't forget. Luckily we're recording too, in case we forget something. But then Tommy's like, Tommy's micing everything. I know Gideon's absorbing it, but I mean, a lot of it's Tommy, and Tommy's a drummer himself. He played a lot of drums at the first Hotel Fiction record, and he's a fantastic drummer, and he obviously makes.
There was one of them that I wrote it down. Let me check right quick. I think it was My Time in the Sunshine that I wrote a great drum intro, right? That I was like, that snare pop is just riding, man. I love that.
Yeah, I think just Tommy turn up the gain, and I love the drums in My Time in the Sunshine. It's probably my favorite part of the record.
Yeah.
Just how Gideon, like, just all these little hooks and callbacks, and you can really get a lot just from the drum track. And we set, half of the record was recorded to click, half of it wasn't.
Okay.
And half of it was like pieced together.
What was the decision making on that? Like, which ones were which?
It just
vibe?
depends on which. Yeah, it's just based on the song, or like the final track, "Sun Cancer," which we made a music video for that will release probably in October, late October.
Sweet.
That we made with Carmen Smith.
Yeah.
Who also filmed us doing some live sessions that will
Carmen.
be releasing.
That name sounds familiar. Doesn't he play?
Drummer from Cloudland, and sometimes plays drums from Hotel
he came
Fiction.
in with you that one time.
Yeah,
that's it.
He's Coldplay as drummer.
Yes, that's it. I'm sorry, Carmen. I forgot her name for a second.
He's the Carmen.
The Carmen, yes.
The Carmen.
Okay.
But I forgot what I was saying. Oh, for Sun Cancer, I wrote the song, and that was like, I've been really listening to this Robert Palmer song called Johnny and Mary.
Johnny and Mary? I don't think I know it.
It's, if you heard it, you recognize. It's very 80s sounding, but it's not like Robert Palmer, Addicted to Love. It's very like, and these crazy synths. I was like, I want to have this like 80s sound mixed with this like folky Elliott Smith thing we've been working on for the whole record. And again, that was the last track we did, so it was, by that time we'd we were super comfortable with each other, comfortable enough to where we're like, let's create some problems for ourselves that we'll have to dig ourselves out of.
Okay. And such as what? Like, what do you mean by that?
You know, like the title track, Somewhere Sideways, Same As You.
Okay. I want track because it's not out yet, right? No, it's on the album.
Yes, on the record.
Okay.
It's the title track, and I wrote it, and we were starting to kind of groove to it. But then, like, the next part, it's like you have to completely change it up, so we can't do the click, and then it wasn't flowing well, so we had, like, Tommy had to, like, transpose a click to go to a different time thing for different things, and then for the last, like, chorus, we couldn't go back to the way the first chorus was, so we had to make it fit within that time, and now we're practicing the song live. We're like, man, that's kind of genius that we did that, except for we did it because we had to.
Ooh, interesting.
Or the song wouldn't sound right.
That's that studio experimentation y'all are too.
And then we have songs that were just like, no click, just rock it out.
Rock and roll, okay. I'd wondered, I'm going to ask you a few more questions, and I'm going to get my man Garrett in here. You see him hiding over there?
Holy shit.
A few more. We're going to get the Cardoso in here, man. I wanted to ask, okay, so what was their involvement in the first record with, like, Cut of My Jib and all that? Did they played on a lot of that, right?
So, Cut of My, that was from Problematic to the People. That was my third solo record. Okay. After a few years off. And I made that with Vandenberg and Matt Martin. And throughout that entire time, like Tommy on the record, he gets like ghost producer or ghost like mix or like producer
honorable
or something
mention.
Because literally like Matt would send me a mix, I would try and understand what I even thought about because I don't really speak that language, and I would send it to Tommy's like, just tell me what you think, and then like we go back and forth in it because I wanted to be very clear and explain myself to Matt with mixing, and Matt knows what he's doing too. Like, you know, with Matt, it's like one or two. What's the word? One or two. One or two rough mixes.
Okay.
And it's like, hey, this is ready to go.
Yeah.
Not many changes with those guys or Tommy, but what was the question? I'm sorry.
Hell if I know. I was asking their involvement on the first record.
Yes, okay, so Tommy was very much like, he was my guy that I could like just like nerd out and like feel like we were just having a conversation about it. And then so Tommy sang on the first track, I'm Not Human, and I think that was it. And then didn't know Gideon then, and I think Elijah, he was in one of the music videos, but he wasn't he just like listened to the record or stuff. But we've been like, we're working on Elijah's new record.
Exciting.
That Tommy's producing and engineering, and I'm kind of junior producer on it, and I've co-written some songs with Elijah on it, which is awesome. And I got to play bass on one of his new songs, which is the first time I've recorded bass for a song. But so the Cut of My Jib, Problematic for the People era, that was just like, we were just kind of friends and enjoying each other's music then.
I guess the reason I ask is like, I'm trying to figure out when it becomes the Sunshine. You know what I mean? When does that come? What is the logic behind that and all that?
When the first song was written, Tommy, and like, it was just kind of, we kept talking about it, like, I would love to record with you. Yeah. Love to record with you. Yeah. And both of us. And Elijah plays with Tommy, and obviously Elijah's a great player, and Tommy plays with Elijah. Elijah's a great player. And Elijah and I, I feel like we're kind of kindred spirits as far as songwriters go.
Okay. I could see that.
But he's way better. And
Stop.
But
he is the great Athens songwriter. I'll give him that title. That's what I've been trying to get people to call him.
He's the greatest.
The great.
I'm just
the greatest hits creator.
I'm just the second greatest.
We'll take that.
No, but so it was natural, like, wanting to work with Tommy when Elijah there, because we would hang out, and Elijah worked at the theater too, and
I remember
we would all hang out. But so I had this one song, I was like, let's do it, and then we show up, and then I didn't even know Gideon was coming. He's like, oh yeah, we told Gideon to come. I was like, cool,
sweet.
And it was like that one day and that one thing, and then track 1, track 2, track 3, track 4. I think Tommy was like, this sounds like sunshine, like on my face or whatever, and then
Sunshiiiine.
Exactly, and then like realized like that theme kept coming up, and there was like, it was originally going to call the record "My Time in the Sunshine," but then my friends in Susto, who they never they would have never known anyway, but then they released a record that was going to be they announced a record called "Time in the Sun." I was like, damn it.
Beat you to it, man.
And so I'm just gonna save it as a title track, and then Somewhere Sideways, Same As You, which Tommy wanted to be the title track, and it does feel like kind of the theme of the record that that song. So
Okay.
that became.
That's a cool
soundtrack.
title. I feel like all your titles have I think Paraplum Blues is a great title. Like
Thank
something
you
that
very
I was
much.
like, how does he come up with this shit? I was like, that's great. You know what I mean?
I
Because
think
it's like,
it's because I have like a slight grasp of what's going on, but I never really retain anything. So I hear something and I misremember it. Because like Paraplum Blues, it's just like, it's just sounding like the holidays.
it does. Yeah. Like anybody else would just call it like, something blues, like just like a regular. And you'd be like, oh, it's a sad song or something. But Paraplum Blues, it's just like, damn, that's a great title.
Because it also doesn't mean anything, but it could mean everything.
Could,
whoever's
yeah.
listening
That's
to
it.
Very, trying to be very Arctic Monkeys.
Yeah. Oh, on that for a brief moment, what'd you think about the new Monkeys track? I enjoy it. Have you listened to it?
I enjoy it too. And I keep making this mistake with the Arctic Monkeys. Like when Tranquility Base Hotel and Casino came out, I was expecting like some rock, and I wanted that's what I wanted. So
expected
when I listened
AM2,
to it,
kind of?
yeah, AM2, or even like Favorite Worst Nightmare or Suckin' and See. And because I'm a huge fan, and when I heard it, I was like, oh, it's not what I'm in the mood for. And then I was like, I was pissed. And then I would go back and listen again. I was like, oh, this is the greatest record ever. And that's how
I did the same thing.
And then so when this new single came out, I was like, okay, remember what you learned from last time. Because I try not to like make a judgment on something because I know usually by the third or fourth time I hear it,
it'll be different.
Right. But I was like, okay, don't screw this up again. I listened to the song the first time. I was like, I don't really like it. And then I was like, okay. And I wait a few hours and listen again. I was like, this is brilliant.
It's great, man, isn't
amazing.
It sounds to me like Tranquility Base Hotel, but like a little less weird almost.
Yeah.
But I like Tranquility now. I like
yeah.
4 out of 5 and all those songs. Star Treatment, I like
is
those.
so good. I know
that's
my
the best
wife
one
so
on there,
much
I
by
think.
singing that song like all day. Put a taqueria.
Yeah. Because I did the same thing. I listened to Tranquility. I was like, I don't know. This shit's a little weirder than I liked it to be. And then like 6 months later, I listened. I was like, damn, they like literally picked like a concept and like absolutely executed it perfectly.
Yeah,
almost.
She Looks Like Fun is like one of the greatest rock songs.
I don't think I know that.
That's like one of the
Deeper
third
cuts?
to last tracks.
Third to last?
But
I'll have to
so
listen.
good. And there's also a new song. I don't remember the name. Another new Arctic Monkeys song that they haven't released, but it's not like on YouTube.
Okay.
You can watch
I've been watching their live sets a lot.
Awesome.
Is it?
New song. Yeah, I can't wait.
Okay,
can't wait
sweet,
for the new
sweet.
record. They never miss.
They never miss. They do. Let's get this young man in here now. We done talked about the Monkeys a little bit. I want to get some Garrett co-host question. You want to pull up this chair, Garrett? See if that guy is comfy for you. Would you like a beer or anything? You sure? We talked a lot about having Garrett on here to co-host some episodes. Let me make sure you're in frame. You guys chat for a second.
It's good to see you. Yes. Dude, I've become in love with Easy Honey.
Yes, they're one of my favorite bands.
Like I've seen them in like in the names of like all the bands that are touring, and I knew I would get around to them eventually. I knew like that. Spoiler alert! Well kept and Easy Honey will be playing at the 40 Watt on October 27th.
I haven't seen him yet. I hear nothing but good things from the studios and
I
everybody.
heard nothing
That's
but
fantastic.
good things, but like that song, "Steady and Vertigo," that's like my jam.
I think that was
Two singles ago.
Yeah, 2 singles ago.
All their stuff's great.
They're great dudes. I definitely have gotten a lot of time this year to get to know them a little bit more. I was on the road with them. It was a 2-week run, so not a whole lot, but I've seen them a bunch this year, and so I've gotten pretty close to them.
They've got a cool Instagram vibe look thing going on that I'm
Good,
kind
man.
of
I love their art. Yeah, a lot of
it's a lot of yours. Yeah.
Well, I mean, some of the recent photography is definitely mine. I will say the TikTok game that they've stepped up on is their tour manager, Brendan McGlone.
Really?
Darby is one of the guitarists and does vocals as well.
Okay.
His brother tour manages for them. So shout out to Brendan. But
What's Darby's last name?
McGlone.
Okay.
Yeah, they're from up northeast, like Massachusetts area, and then a couple of them are from like Tennessee.
They're an Atlas artist, right?
Yeah, they are.
Okay.
You know what? They I'll have to introduce you.
Please
to
do.
them
I
when
want to
they're
have
in
them on
town.
here.
Yeah,
I
that
want
would
to have them on here.
be
That'd be cool.
sweet. I'll
That'd
see
be
if
cool.
I can't get that set.
Yeah, it seems like all the Atlas artists. I don't know how much you keep up with it, but I'd love to see Hefner on Atlas. I think that would be great. But I don't know how interested.
Garrett and I have a master plan.
We do have a master plan,
Do
and
you?
a lot of that's going to be quiet now.
Okay, sorry.
We can't give too much away
Push it
here,
into
but
the cornfield.
but we're going to be introducing the 2 bands here very soon
Sweet.
in this city of ours that we love. So
Love
hopefully that goes well, and we'll make sweet musical love with those
Yes,
boys.
let's do it, man.
A lot more.
Garrett, do you have any questions for Drew? I know. How long have you guys known each other?
Let's see. I guess I was introduced to you probably by Canon. because I think Cannon's introduced me to just about everybody.
Right. He's a good introducer.
So that was probably a little over a year ago. So probably a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
So not that long that I've started to get to know.
It doesn't take long to
in
feel
music
like,
years.
Yeah, I suppose so.
10
It feels
years?
like about 5 years or so. But I mean, I can't say enough good things about this guy, man. He's connected me with a lot of people, as he does for all of his people.
He's connected me with a lot of people.
Yeah, that's good.
It's, Garrett, like right out the gate, like talk about inspiration for like someone's focus.
Yeah,
and
talking about that earlier.
Obviously, great personality, easy to get along with, easy on the eyes, but also very talented.
Agreed.
And I've never seen, and I'm not blowing smoke. Like, I worked at the theater for about 8 years.
Yep.
And a lot of photographers in and out, great photos. It's a very photographic place. I've never seen a photographer light up that room like you do.
Thanks.
I don't even know how you do it, but like from the well-kept shows, from that Hefner Futurebird show, that was like, that's art.
Thanks,
awesome.
man. I really appreciate it. And those well-kept photos are some of my favorite ones that I've probably ever had. And same with the Hefner show. Even that was such a fun time. Even to both of those bands, they have such a good stage presence and
good look.
Also, I just happen to really like their music.
Right.
So like those are the two things that I ask for.
Like when you enjoy the music and you're part of, and you're basically like a part of the show. And what's really cool, a lot of it, there's a lot of negative feelings that one could have about the social media like stuff and how necessary it is, but like in your side of things, it's like one of the few things where like I'm on Instagram, I'm looking through stuff where I don't feel like I'm being brainwashed. Because like seeing good quality like band photos and live stuff,
I agree.
like, it's really cool to capture that. I mean, and I don't know, can't say enough good things about this guy and like the quality of work, and it's important, and it seems like it's really cool. Like the concert photographer is having more of like a resurgence than I feel like it did like 3 years ago.
It's weird because like Garrett, you so quickly went from just someone I met at Smith's Old Bar who was hired by somebody else to like
very common story among a bunch of people that I
from that
with.
To like literally like okay, this guy's the best guy in town. Like there's nobody committed to the craft like you. So good for you, man.
Thanks,
good
man. That is definitely the main thing I've tried to focus on. It's just to be as laser focused about it as I can because I'm so passionate about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's my favorite thing.
Right.
Like I think about it all the time. I think about ways that I can improve. I definitely am like a fan of it too.
Yeah, which is huge.
There's plenty of photographers
how could you not
out
be,
there.
right?
And also
I
music,
love
you can meet people who, there's people who make music for money, and I'm even talking about like even if you're just going to do like cover gigs, which there's nothing wrong with cover gigs, and especially if you're having a good time. But you meet some people who are just like not happy to be playing music, or they're just doing it just for the dollar.
Yeah,
and that's great. I mean, that's the dream, is to make music or do something in the industry you love and make money for it. But it needs to be something that you would do no matter what. And,
exactly.
And very immediately, like that's what you are. Like you're there because you want to be there. You're not just like, I'm a photographer, I charge X amount of dollars. Like, please, like you find the bands you want, you reach out to them, it's.
There's some
like
people that are like,
so
I guess kind of what I say off this, what you're saying is like, there's some people that are in the industry, and then there's some people that are the industry. Do you get what I mean? Like, there's people that are present in the music scene, and there's people that are living it. I like to think of you two in that category.
It's really cool to like, for someone to like text me and say, I need someone for this or whatever, and then you just like not only have an answer for them, but one that you're confident of. Like,
this is the guy. This guy. Yeah.
I mean, and I think early on when I first started to meet everybody here, I started to like really value like the connections that I was making with people, and that's like obviously like it's a people business with photography specifically,
for sure.
Especially the kind that I do, because that's
network
the only
is everything.
Only
you're good at this too,
but
though. Drew is a great network, like putting people in touch, like having his feet tapped in, kind of thing.
Yeah, and I guess where I'm getting with that is that the relationships that I make or that I have made are part of the reason why I'm still able to like keep going. And I place such an importance on making a good relationship with people because, like I said, that's how you get return business first of all.
And it also makes you feel like you're part of something versus
absolutely
you want a good paying gig, but if it's for someone whose music you're not into or someone who's a jerk or do it.
And I definitely like I was just talking to somebody about this earlier today. There's been a few times where like I've felt like I was doing a gig just to make some money, and I feel like that's okay to do every now and then. But like I really do try and make sure that what I'm doing makes me happy, and that goes all the way down to like the music that I'm taking photos of, like.
And of course, you like open yourself up for like being surprised. You're like, oh, I like this.
Absolutely.
Or I met someone that I didn't think I would, or like, being, balancing that. It's just,
for sure.
Yeah. Have you ever shot a Beskin show?
Yeah, actually I have, and I believe that's kind of that was our introduction.
Him because Cannon plays in Elijah, and
that's what it was.
And so that's one thing that Garrett.
It was Smith's old bar, baby. It was the Elijah show, because I'm pretty sure you played that same bill.
Elijah, us, and Annie, and it's one of those things like Garrett starting out was like, all right, I'm doing this gig, and then he hit up. He's like, hey. Or no, he didn't even say anything. He just took a few shots and sent them to me after the show.
Show them the work first.
Yeah,
I like that.
And that's always so smart. Anyway, he would do that for a few hours. Like if a band was hiring him and he gets there and there's other artists, he takes a few and sends it to them if he likes them. And like they'll at least post it because they're going to good photos.
I love that because it's like, hey, here's what I do, and like obviously your work speaks for itself. It's like okay, these pictures are badass. Like then they'll hire you instead of like. I'm not fucking snapping any pics if they don't give me the fucking full rate.
5 years ago, I don't think it was as crucial.
You don't think so?
No. I think 5 years ago it wasn't as crucial for a band to have a photographer on the road.
Ooh, that's an interesting thought. Okay.
It's been really interesting.
So back in the day, let me just pick your brain on this for a second, if you don't mind. I guess, I never thought about that. It would have been like a luxury, I guess. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, we don't really need to photograph this because where are you going to post it at, except for Facebook or whatever. But would you agree to that, or what was it like back then? Was district attorneys touring with photographers, videographers?
No. No. And we when we toured, which we weren't like super on the road, but we made the up to New York and up to South by.
That's pretty
back
going.
And forth a few times over a few years, and we post a little bit on Instagram, post a little on Facebook, and just take photos of each other.
Yeah.
Just kind of goofing off, not really. We probably stopped like right when Instagram was getting really heavy and Spotify was getting really heavy. So we didn't really have those tools, but we would post photos of us on the road, or if someone took a picture of us, they just post it on Facebook and share it. But like, really was an emphasis on quality.
Interesting, and now there definitely is. Like the top tier bands have the top tier photographers.
It's one of those like things about this industry that's become a thing now, is that you have to have such an online presence, and like the more photos you have and the more like visual content you have, I think. I hate that word content, but it's what it is.
I say it a lot.
If you're going to have to do it as much as you do it, ideally it's something that you're feeling good about.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I mean, and I think a lot of bands are inclined to like find their, especially on the bigger levels, they find their person and they stick to that person for a few years because, and I think we talked about this when I was with you last, is that when you establish, or photography is an intimate thing sometimes, especially on the road, and like trying to get tour photography is way more than just the show.
Exactly.
It's getting all the other, like the moments before going on, or like
the hangs kind of,
all that stuff. You know what I mean? So like it's such an intimate thing. So if you have a stranger with you, it's going to be kind of awkward, and like you may not get the result that you want, most of the time. So people may be shy if they don't know a photographer. They may be shy to bring one along because it's such an awkward thing.
I think people realize there's such a difference in quality between 90% of a good photo versus 97%. Like
it sticks out. I think it does.
Little,
details.
Just little details that extra push to just send something like.
And the more time you spend with somebody, the better it gets. And that's kind of what I preach about being with the Stews all the time. That
seems to be your artist.
You can look back over the last year and see how things have changed, and like. I feel like what I'm giving them these days, or what they're putting out with the relationship that I have with them, is so much better. Yeah, exactly. And I really do. It's so much fun with that relationship.
You guys are like
that
homies,
dynamic is the word I was looking for. Is like just if they see me during a set, they will do something, you know what I mean? Like, or they won't, and I'll just make sure I do my thing. But like, it's all the other stuff too, man. Like Preston's sitting on a bed somewhere just playing a guitar, and I'm walking by, and I'll just stop and grab, and he won't even stop what he's doing.
Right.
You know what I mean? If it was a stranger, he'd probably be like, "What's this what's going on? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
he just
it makes it
to,
weird,
just
doesn't it?
A candid, a true moment. I mean, that's all we want in music or art, right? That's something that feels real.
That's the stuff you want to look back on, I think.
It was interesting because after the studio show, Garrett, I was thinking about it. I was like, honestly, like you kind of just like, no matter what your place is in the industry, you kind of just have to be like a good hang. You know what I mean? Like, I was like, the Stews had us opening, but honestly, we were there just to like hang. Do you know what I mean? Like, it was like a good time. And same thing with you. Like, you would not be getting hired if you weren't a good hang before the show. You get what I mean?
Right. Yeah, man. If they didn't want me around, they definitely Blake would not keep me around if that boy didn't like me. So it's one of those things, man. Like I have spent so much time with them. They've become such close friends to me. So it's so easy to be out with them and rough it and get robbed and all the things. You know what I mean? And we can still have a good time, and it's great.
And you can turn those lemons into lemonade.
Yeah, exactly.
On the social media stuff and raising money.
Yeah, smart. Yeah. Let's shift it back over right quick. I want to get a little more depth on Drew because we do have a certain timeline. Let's see what's we got. We got a few more minutes. Sweet. You said 8:15, right?
Yeah.
Sweet. Oh, we got plenty of time.
My wife
totally.
Let's ask Drew some questions, Garrett. I kind of want to get more context on this new record that's coming out. So you did a lot of singles. Would Lisa Simpson Fangs be considered a single for this one, or is that last?
That was before Sunshine, wasn't it? Not?
Right.
Or
it
was
was
that a
still
Sunshine
called the
track?
Sunshine, but we really didn't like announce it. And by we, I mean like from my bathroom on my Instagram, like posting about something. But
this might not make sense, but to me, those are the most. My mic's clicking. What was the name? Those are the most problematic sounding songs on the record. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
like
for sure. They're
last
very,
era almost.
A lot of chaos, and those two songs are smack dab in the middle of recording. It's kind of like a snapshot of like us getting comfortable and us starting to kind of like weird out and get a little more experimental. But we record the record. I started recording the record when I finished recording the Problematic for the People. So I was getting mixes of that, getting the art, the videos and stuff for that, and then like kind of slow. Like we recorded this record between November of 2020 and April of 2021. It was just like kind of spread out. One song, like 11 days spread out over 6 months. And so I think I released Problematic for the People in July of 2021. Okay. So the record was already done being mixed. So by October of 2021, I just want to release like 2 songs.
Gotcha.
Just to continue releasing stuff, and then knowing that they weren't really like singles in my mind. Yeah. But I mean, what's a single anyway? Especially for a very, very independent.
I like the way you did that, like the B-side thing. I think B-sides are cool. You know?
I mean, I love the art. I just love the artwork. I love like releasing stuff and giving it some focus. And that's why for a minute I wasn't really that keen on making another record because I just wanted to release a song or two at a time. But then we made this record with Tommy, Elijah, and Gideon. It feels to me, it feels so complete and feels like something that is a story from beginning to end, just musically. So, I don't know, like we released the last singles, Sprouts, because we want to have content out there, and I do want to talk about all these songs because if you do listen to me, if you do like my music, I would love to share and talk about like as many of these tunes as possible.
I think it's impressive that you managed to pull off 11 tracks over a pretty wide spread of time that are consecutive sounding. Because like I find myself like changing eras like in months. It's like, all right, that doesn't really fit the EP. You know what I mean?
That's the thing, like the nature of the songs being written so quickly, and not like I wasn't even living with the songs more than a day or two before bringing it to the guys, and we just kind of cemented. So I wasn't I was like, oh no, it must be a ballad or it must be a rocker. It's like we'll take it to where we all four are like, this is awesome. Yeah, just move on and don't question it.
That's interesting.
Don't live with the song so much where it becomes so precious to you where like you'll never be happy.
Yeah, that's so true. It's like almost like the candid thing, like catching the photo. Like you literally like caught these songs like in their infancy
like
almost.
Surprise.
You know what I mean?
And
right?
More than any other record, I would go home and listen to the day. It was like, man, what a fun day we had. And what that's great. What a genuine moment it was.
Got to think that's living the dream, so to speak.
Exactly. I mean, like you, like there's making money doing it and like having it be like your job, but you can't really describe the thing that you love doing when you start getting better at it.
Yeah,
you feel like that it becomes like you feel like you're impressing yourself or just.
Ooh, that's cool.
I assume it's what golfers feel like when they get better at their game. But it's very, songwriting and recording is very important to me. So when, at least in my mind, if I exceed my expectations or maybe make a turn that I didn't know I was capable of, it makes it kind of worth
Yeah, absolutely. I think we all chase that like feeling of being like giddy about what you're working on, and like being like you said, being impressed with yourself. Like I think that's okay to feel that. I think everybody wants to feel that sometimes, especially when you're making art, man.
Right.
I agree.
It's something that you're making.
Because at the end of the day, you're making it for yourself.
Yeah.
Because you're the one who's going to hear it more
right.
than anyone and look at it more than anyone. I would love if other people love the music, but if I don't love it,
what's the point?
Yeah, what's the point? Right,
and it's like the longer you work on something, sometimes it takes you to a better place. But for me, at least, it just gets worse. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's like, I was like, oh God, do I still like this? Stuff like that, I
do with writing and recording now. Like, First Instinct is usually my favorite because it's like a way of kind of like, oh, this happened, and like
that was it.
You can't plan it out necessarily.
And that your intuition usually knows, you know what I mean? Like that knee-jerk reaction is usually
like
right.
Lizard brain. Okay.
It's almost like the longer you work on a song, at least for me, like the longer I work on it, the less chance I have of it coming out. Like, like you almost like outdates itself. Like it was a different you back then, that kind of thing. So like if you can ever capture them like exactly like you're saying, like that's rare, man.
Like there's sometimes where I've written all the music and I know like I'm not ready to put a melody or lyric to it, so I'll just let it sit for a few years or something, pull it up.
That's cool.
Like walk around and just like sing along to it until something happens, and they're like, it's not ready yet.
I know what you mean.
Or just walk around and like you have a title, and like this title, that fits there, and then just kind of like, and then it makes sense. It might not make sense to anyone else, but it makes sense to you.
I read that was something, I don't know if it was exactly Gravity, but it's one of the John Mayer songs. Like he had that Gravity thing, I think, and he didn't sing on it for 6 months because he knew the first thing he sang he'd fall in love with. You get what I mean? And then like you can like write something bad, and it's like, all right, this isn't good. You know what I mean? Or you could like make something happen. It's weird.
And like sometimes, especially with lyrics, like I usually keep the first thing I have, even if it's dumb. Because it sounds right. Or it means something to me, even though it might not be very straight in terms of understanding.
Gotcha. Parabellum blues.
Exactly. Let me ask you this, Drew. Was there ever a point where you had to like completely just stop and just be like, I need to start over on this? Or did it all just kind of like flow out and you just, I guess, like you said, kind of just...
That's a great question.
Once we got into like 3 songs on the record and knew like, and understood that it was going to be this like kind of concept where it's like the first song we bring is going to be the 4th track on the record, and then like it just became fun. And it was because I'm someone who very much gets in my head, and previously in recording, especially like gathering songs, that would happen a lot, or like I finished like, this song sucks, no thank you, and it might have been a song from or like, and then maybe I'd come back to it for the next record and change it up a little bit. But for this felt like, like Mario when you hit that star and you have like 30 seconds of being untouchable.
Of course.
And that was kind of the art thing. Like during this stretch of like these 11 songs, it felt like everything I was doing was just like,
just money.
Place. And I could be wrong, but I'm the one who has to live in my own brain and make sense in it. And it just felt really honest. It didn't feel like I was trying to be someone else or trying to sound like someone else. It just felt like this felt really natural.
Yeah, this is exciting. Like I feel like you guys got something here. Like I haven't even heard the whole record yet. It's like just the way you talk about it. It's like, damn, how many records has someone made that it's just been like as smooth as it sounds?
Like every record prior, I could go back and go like, I would have changed that.
Yeah,
like,
you seem smitten. Like you've just fallen in love.
But it was just because it happened, and there was no questions about it, and it was just pure, and it just felt like that. And I think it's because everyone was just kind of on the same page of this like journey sort of thing, like not like. Be about it, but like it was just very organic, and I've never thought of it like that. And because I'm someone who does second guess himself and like think way too much, but like the way it was shaped and like Gideon, he can't lose, he can't mess up, and Elijah has the best ideas, and like I know if I'm lacking in a background vocal idea, Elijah's gonna have me, or if I have like a few lyrics where I'm like, hey, do we like this one or this one, like Elijah's not gonna sugarcoat it.
Yeah,
I'm gonna say that one.
Couldn't be a better like cast of characters to have on a project, honestly.
Tommy does this thing when you're in the studio with him, especially if he's playing an instrument. Like, he doesn't look down at his instrument. He looks you direct in the eye. He's just like,
what?
Like he's like impressing himself. Like he's having fun with it, and that's why everyone loves working with Tommy.
Yeah,
because it's very contagious.
Yeah, totally.
What would you say on that end? You're one of, I've noticed at least, I don't know if, I'm sure other people notice, but you're one of the smarter music business people in town, just from your experience at Georgia Theater and all the years and everything. And like when you put a record out, it seems very thought out. Like the fact that you finished this record in mid 2021, right? It's just coming out now. That shows that like there was some sort of release plan for this. All the singles have the consecutive look. You got the whole name. You got the vinyl coming out. Like, how much of that is that kind of stuff still fun for you? Do you enjoy that part of it? You seem to be really good at it, is what I'm saying.
I don't know if I enjoy that part of it. Well, I enjoy the art stuff, like searching for the art, and I do really like the visual.
You're good at that.
And I feel like I've definitely like improved upon that with like each release, and it's about connecting with the right people and like being confident in what you like and don't like. But you know, I do think if you're going to release something, if I'm going to put time into something, if I do believe in something, I do want to at least do it the right way, or do it the way I would want an artist that I was a fan of to release something, and just like have fun with it and not worry about, you know, it's a very independent thing. You're only making a limited run of vinyl and only doing a limited run of shows, and there's no like MTV Movie Music Award delusions, or Grammy delusions, or anything. But
the Brit Awards.
If you do something, do it right. If you're going to play a show, like promote it.
Yeah, you're under the like instead of like a lot of Athens bands who like play once every 2 weeks and like just play a ton, you know, get in front of most people. You're like, let's do 3 shows and make them huge, you know, or Athens, Atlanta, whatever, you know.
And the shit like it is embarrassing sometimes. Like just going on to like, listen to my thing. Here's my thing. I have this thing coming out, like, hey, sports fans,
big things coming.
Big things coming, like, and having this like attitude on social media when we're just like, hey, like, if you're interested in music and you like this type of music, or if you just want to hear just like maybe check out and listen to it. And if you like it, great. If not, like don't. Yeah. But like there's no way to do that. So you just gotta go like, hey, sports fan, take a look at this. Yeah. And like so if you're gonna do it, like I guess do it right and do it in a way that you like. But sometimes it does like get kind of it feels kind of gross sometimes. Yeah. But I do believe in the music, and I do believe that this is my one life to live and my one time to write and release songs, whilst also working with other artists I believe in and managing their stuff and helping and playing in other bands too. But I don't know, I don't want to not release like, you know, single artwork and videos just because I was
spiteful about it,
or just like, oh, that's embarrassing.
Yeah, well, it comes from a place of you want as many people to hear these tunes as possible, just like you want as many people to see your photos, same kind of thing,
that's
right?
That's kind of the deal, I think. Yeah, I mean, and plus it kind of shows people like how much you really care about it. It's I don't know. I think it is important to really push what you're doing, or in a tasteful manner. Right. You know what I mean? Because
if you don't push, then you shouldn't be disappointed when no one hears it or no one comes to the show.
Exactly. Okay, that's a good point. I had another question for you off that as well. Well, kind of off that, but you answered that one well. Let me think. I was going to ask you, how has Athens and touring and the music scene and your involvement in it changed from, like, you know, you've been on the scene for how many years in Athens now? At least 5, right? Maybe 8?
I think I've been here this time for at least like 10 years.
At least 10, okay.
Or I moved back here in 2014.
So what would you say is the biggest change from like that era of bands to like now? What are you seeing that's different? I just think
even like places like Atlas Touring, who are really starting to like produce these like heavy hitting acts that can like just like become a sustained, legitimate like business, and, you know, make money outside of, you know, your CAAs and WMEs and everything like that. And you have, you know, there's always been great music in Athens, but I do feel like over the last 2-3 years, the scene is like starting to rival like what Charleston was a few years ago, or something, like where people were like actually paying attention, and like, you know, with Vision Video and Hotel Fiction and Pink Stones and even Hefner and Well Kept and you and
thank you very much,
and Elijah and Lighthearted and I just keep naming bands.
Quite the roster,
I could keep going, like Low Talker and all these bands that are, you know, Canon stuff. Like in Canon, like, you know, everyone's kind of figure out like there's not like a straight path to like success. Like and Canon's like all over the place, like playing in all these great bands and doing some tour managing and playing steel and some of his favorite bands and working on his own music. And everyone's like, it seems like everyone's kind of, there's a different, like I feel like I am slightly older than you fellas, and like people like more my age back in the day, it was more like, hey, we're releasing the music and why should we promote it? Why should we like learn other aspects of it? Like, we're writing these songs and that's good enough. And
that's
like,
all that matters.
That is good enough if that's all you want. But like, everyone's more hungry. Everyone's understanding the social media aspect of it. You know, everyone's, you know, I don't know. I feel
Interesting.
like,
I think that's a good answer.
I feel like it's stronger.
Are you saying that the roster, like the lineup, is deeper than it's ever been in your experience, or up to par?
I think the scene right now, and you can list off all those bands. These are bands that are not just good because they're right next door. They're bands that that anyone would enjoy listening to, and they're working with people in Charleston and people in Nashville, and just everyone. It seems like everyone's kind of finding their way. Like, not everyone's going to go straight to like the Billboard 100 or like a TV show. You can still cultivate a fan base and build your platform, whether it's because of TikTok or with a little help from TikTok, or because of great music videos, or because of just great songs.
Social media makes it seem like I feel like that you can go from zero to Billboard, and like really I think, and that happens like 1 in a billion almost. You know what I mean? And so like,
if it's not good, it's not going to stay.
Yeah, it's not. So I think there is definitely like this is one of those places that's like I think people really realize that you got to put in the work. To do it, and like I don't have as much like deep experience with this scene, but it definitely feels like right now is like a big time for like local Athens music. There's so many bands here that have so much potential, and
and the headliners in this town, like they never go to Garrett. Like
exactly.
Like they've
it's
all
obvious. It's given, and it's like it's weird because like we go to these other towns. I'm always saying this on here, but you go somewhere like Clemson, Tuscaloosa, Columbia, stuff like that. It's like, damn, they barely have bands here. You know what I mean? Exactly. It's like, wow, there's 3 bands here is what I'm saying.
And they can be hungry. And Charleston used to be that. About like 5 years ago, Charleston didn't have, 5 or 6 years ago, they didn't have the Royal American. They didn't have much music.
Charleston, there's some like thing happening in Charleston right now, and then I think it might be an Atlas thing. I don't know because it's the only bands that I know of from Charleston are all working with the Washburns. So it's like,
as far as Atlas, they're hitting like 100. Like every artist they've got on their roster is like, damn, these guys are killing it.
But Charleston, Charleston Rural American had a huge thing with Susto and Human Resources and Brave Baby, and that graduated, did 87 nights.
Well, and believe it or not, the Stews live there, even though they're never home, but they do live there now.
They were in Alabama.
That's where they started, was Auburn, and 3 of the 4 of them are from Atlanta, and I think they moved up to Charleston just because that's where their agency is, and also a bunch of other bands that they could play shows with. Not to mention like Royal American and Charleston like that Poorhouse place is popping. That place is awesome.
And Poorhouse and Royal American.
Both of those 2 venues are doing well right now. I feel like
places where like there is a built-in crowd. Who are hungry for music. Pay attention.
I'm in love with the idea of doing Beskin, Hefner, JT, Royal American, El Rocco's run. I'm in love with that idea.
I'd love to do that.
We should do that.
Royal American only wants to do weekends for now.
Ooh, interesting.
And they're booked through December.
Ooh.
The next year to do that. But I would love to do that.
I just think those 3 bands together would work.
I played Royal American. Like, so for these last few records, really don't venture outside of Georgia. Maybe go to Alabama, maybe go to Charleston. But we did Royal American like 4 or 5 times.
Oh,
which
really?
is always the best. Always the best.
They seem to be very welcoming to Athens artists. Is what it seems like.
They have a built-in crowd. They have people who are interested.
Interesting. Okay. Let me take a quick pause right quick. I want to thank Clark's. I can't believe I haven't mentioned this yet. They're going to be mad at me, man. Rip's going to be pissed, dude. All right. Shout out to Clark's Collective downtown for having us in their beautiful place tonight. It's awesome. We're having a great time. Had some great drinks. You got anything to say to Rip? Got any words to drop to him? He's going to hear this.
Yeah, I've been teaching him how to play tennis lately. and for a guy who's extremely athletic, it's nice to like be better at him than something. But I can already tell like he's starting to get it because he's a natural athlete. I'm not a natural athlete. So take me down.
He will take you down eventually.
Yeah.
I can't wait to send this to him. Thank you, Rip. Thank you, Clark's. Drink deals all summer, or I guess we're in the fall now. Excuse me. If you're a sorority fraternity, need to rent a place out, hit Clark's up. If you're looking to have any events, if you're looking for a place to play, I'm playing here tomorrow. Clark's is an awesome place to play. We're sitting on stage right now. Hefner, how'd the Hefner show go here? Good.
That was awesome.
Awesome.
Like what I'm trying to I want bands to kind of think more outside the box. Like, you don't have to just play this one ticket show. You should come and do like cool places like this and do like play for people who. There's no shame in playing frat gigs. There's no shame in playing
absolutely
that
not.
type of
Absolutely
bar.
not.
So that's how you cultivate a fan base. Like,
You get the rotating people coming in and out here, you know what I mean?
I mean, this is a town that has a lot of college students in it, obviously.
And Ripley,
it'd be stupid not to tap into that market.
And Ripley, like, they're passionate about getting bands, and
they
treat their bands well.
They really do.
They're free
they really
shows
do.
too.
Yeah. They're great.
It's a great spot.
You get a rotating crowd all night long. It's fantastic. I played a bunch of great shows here. What was I going to say about that? I was on this page. Are you on Old School Athens on Facebook? It's like 1970 to 2020.
Y'all are on Facebook still?
Yeah, I'm on Facebook. But anyways, they were on there. They were like, I came to Athens for the weekend, this past weekend, and like, where's the live music? Is live music dead in Athens? We didn't see any bands anywhere. I was like, I commented back. I was like, it is alive and a well here. Just, you got to look a little harder. Absolutely. But yeah, I don't know where I was going with that. Anyways, hold on. I wrote a few more things I want to know before you go. I got a bad cable here. Okay, I got a few questions via the Instagram post. You want to hear these?
Oh boy, they were all ones I sent in.
I like the ones you said. I'm gonna tell you those.
I'm going to crowdsource something as well.
Somebody said wolf or snapping turtle.
Wow, that's
vague, or is that obvious?
No, to me that's obvious. That's from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles too. Oh yeah, that's my friend Richard. Yeah,
I didn't know.
I grew up with him, and we would watch that movie, and we just always thought that scene in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2 was
like the weird one where it's kind of creepy, or is it the animated one?
It's the weird one. That's
I remember the weird one.
The Muppet ones.
Yeah, that one was weird.
Vanilla Ice in it.
Classic. All right, we got another one. Somebody said his name's Corey. Rip. Do you prefer Van Halen or Van Hagar?
Get this
I
one
guess
right,
Van
Drew.
Halen, but there's some select Hagar tunes that are just.
I like some
awesome.
Hagar tunes.
I love some Hagar tunes, but it has to be Roth.
Yeah.
Yes, I agree. Hold on. I had some more. Let me find them. Where did it go? I'm missing one. Okay, somebody named Drew asked, how did he trick Tommy, Elijah, and Gideon into making music with him? Referring to you.
Yes, that was my question. So, I always pinch myself to the fact
That's
that
his own question.
we've been practicing for September Days this weekend and the next few shows, and we're also going to be doing a Beatles tribute at the end of October at Cine.
No way.
Halloween weekend on October 28th, the day after the Easy Honey show. So as always, Tommy has a busy weekend.
Yep, sure does.
I tricked them into doing it because I got them real early before they got super busy, and they're they're loyal guys, and I exploit them.
Yeah, as you should. I can't blame you for picking a better lineup.
But we're enjoying the Beatles stuff where y'all feel like
how long are you guys playing? An hour?
I think we're gonna do an
at?
hour. We're gonna do it at Cine.
Okay.
We're gonna. I think we're going to announce it next week after September Days. But we're going. It's going to be an album release just like a month after the album comes out. And Annie's going to open up Annie Leith, and then we're going to do our album, and then we're going to just do like 15 Beatles songs.
Oh,
and just
sick, dude.
We're going to do like weird shit.
I met Annie for the first time the other night. She's wonderful.
She's a genius.
She's great. She ran sound for me at a Georgia Theater show. She's so nice.
She's the maestro.
The maestro. Yeah, I wish she was still in Athens. I think she's in Atlanta.
She's just moved back. She got a house. She moved back a few months ago.
She's on the. I need to get her on the podcast
back
too.
To Athens.
Yes,
they are. Because once you leave, it's like, man, there was something there.
You know. Garrett's like, I'm coming up here soon. A few months later, he damn did it.
Here I am.
Love it, man.
Yep.
Well, I think we can pretty much wrap this up. Garrett, do you have any closing questions?
There's one more thing I wanted to ask you about. Somebody close to us told me something about these dogs that you have, and I really just want you to explain yourself as to why these dogs are so loud and so mean.
Who said that?
Somebody close to us. Somebody that you're lucky to play music with.
Well, because they're not trained very well, and they're really nice, but you just have to come into the house and sit for an hour, let them scream at you,
get
used to you. And
that's what I heard.
And then it's good. But, two of the dogs my wife had before we got together, and then the third dog, Judy, we call her Judy Bloom, and she's actually referencing the new song My Time in Sunshine that came out today.
Subtle promo.
But
legend.
But I love this dog, but it's so my wife would do this thing where she would go to the shelter because she loves dogs. She would bring a dog home, just like a dog that we're just fostering for a few weeks.
Sure.
We already had 2 dogs. I'm like, it sucked because A, it's annoying. B, after a week or two, you fall in love with this dog.
Of course.
You give the dog away.
And
it's just this emotional nightmare. It's like, why do this? And then the week before lockdown, she brings home Judy, and I walk in the room, and she's just barking at me like she wants to kill me, and like I couldn't walk anywhere where they're like just like, and I'm just like screaming at her, going like, stop doing this. This is not happening again. Like, no more dogs. And of course, lockdown happened, so we had to keep the dog for a few extra weeks. And then after a few extra weeks, she comes, lays by me, and becomes like my everything. I'm like, hey, we're not giving this fucking dog back. This dog is staying. She's like, we can't have 3 dogs. Like, it's too late. She's staying. And
We've already got
no
3
more
dogs.
fostering dogs. Like, we got 3. We got to take care of them.
And now she's in a Sunshine song.
She is. Look at her. She's up tremendously.
Yeah, it's incredible.
But also, that
love
reminds
story.
me.
Tell me the story you told me you were going to tell. Is this
Yeah.
it?
I told you about, so my daughter, Lila, she's almost 7 months, and I wanted to find like the right like teddy bear situation, not necessarily a bear, but like whatever her thing is, her Huggy Boogie or whatever the fuck.
Yeah.
But when she was younger, whenever she'd cry, she'd make it sound like a goat, and we would call her like Goat Baby. And then
as you do,
and then we kept doing it. And then like for like goats, very popular in the zeitgeist with the greatest of all time thing. And I was like, I'm gonna find a nice goat, a cute goat, and I found one. It's like a $30 stuffed animal goat, and ordered it, and came, and it's just called Garrett the goat, and it was such a perfect like, stuffed animal that like, and she loves it. I was like, I went ahead and got 2 more.
All makes sense.
I have like 3 of them now, and 2 of them are hidden in case something happens to the original.
You've got backup goats.
But so I'm saying the name Garrett every day, and then like whenever you text me or someone said, and like I just laugh because it's just like
That's adorable.
There's the goat.
I just say Garrett probably more than I say anyone else's name. It's just hilarious.
I haven't had the pleasure of meeting her yet, but I'm very much looking forward to it.
You'll meet her soon, and you'll meet Garrett. We're going to get a photo of you.
Yeah, that's right.
Together.
There you go. Yeah, we'll get a photo of that.
I
That'll
need
be
a
legendary.
professional photo of
Yeah.
Garrett. Yes.
Yeah, somebody else is going to have to take that.
We'll tripod up. We'll try.
Yeah.
We'll set it on the
Sounds
timer.
good,
We
man.
got you. We need you to take it. Is the thing,
I'll set the trigger and then I'll hop in.
Exactly.
Let's do one of those things.
Well, thank y'all for coming on, man.
Thanks, James.
Thanks for
Thank you
coming
so
to
much.
co-host
Yeah, of course.
on that.
Thanks
I
for having me,
appreciate
man.
it. It's a
Appreciate you
success. You
letting me
did a
come
good job, man. What's one last thing? What would you tell people that need to go listen to your record? What would you tell them? One thing.
Just, put them in the earbuds. They're meant to be listened loud. And just kind of sit and listen with it. Close your eyes if you want. I don't know. We put a lot of thought into it.
Yeah.
And, I try, when I listen to music, I try to be like, listen at least 1 or 2 times because I don't want to make any rash decisions. But there's a lot of, to me, it feels like Arrested Development, the show. Like you can watch one episode and you're like, this is good. But the more you watch it, the more you realize, oh, that's really fucking funny.
You fall in love with the characters.
I didn't realize you put that joke in there. It was like, I didn't notice that percussion hit or that piano hit. That's hooky. That's nice.
Yep.
That's how, but like it's meant for repeat listens.
I like that. Right. Good for the algorithm too.
Yes. Yes. It's meant to be given all the money.
Well, thank y'all for coming on, man. I appreciate it. Let's give them a wave for the thumbnail. You ready? This isn't you guys' first rodeo. You know how it is. Thank y'all so much. See you later.